Hello guys, what's going on? It's Krisping here. The question that I will try to answer for today's commentary is Call of Duty World War II boring? To start off, I will tell you a little bit about my background with this series. I've been playing Call of Duty for somewhere around 9 or 10 years. Since a little bit before Modern Warfare 2. So I have some experience with this series and I've played it through good and bad, really bad times. When I got World War II this year, I was expecting something like a more worked-through reboot of World at War, with big diverse maps and an interesting campaign. Well, that's not exactly what we've got here. As most of you know, the campaign was the classic Saving Private Ryan type story where you just follow some American soldier from the beaches at Normandy a little further into France and Germany till the end of the war. They try to play on your emotions, but it's mostly by cliches. But the only true emotional moment for me was when we were getting closer to the end and we encountered the abandoned concentration camp. Now that's horrible. It's really dark and it's a good way for the game to show the true horrors of World War II. But otherwise the campaign was actually quite dull. When we get to the multiplayer, it looks quite cool with pretty nice gunplay, hard to get but cool score streaks that are really fun to use. So there isn't that much to complain about when it comes to that. It's the standard Call of Duty in that sense, and it could keep me interested for a while if it wasn't for one thing. The maps. I know that I've talked about this before, but before I at least thought that they were tolerable, you know? But now after I've got up to like 4 days in the game, which isn't even a seventh of what I had in like Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops, I feel really tired of the game, sadly. I liked it at first, but the more you have the feeling that you're playing on the same 4 maps all the time, the more annoying it gets. Sledgehammer made a huge mistake releasing this game with only 9 normal maps. And they just made all the maps small as hell as well, which is even more annoying. There is no way to make the maps interesting when they're that small and that one-sided in the way that they're played. If you look at most maps, they are just copy-pasted from the first side to the other, you know? The colors are dull and grey, and I know that the war wasn't the most colorful time in history, but you can make it look a little bit more interesting with having more maps in interesting areas instead of having them in the places like Point to Hook or wherever Flak Tower is placed. Take those maps and put them somewhere that isn't fucking grey, and you have 2 nice looking maps. Even though the gameplay design on them still would be dumb as hell. So yeah, COD World War II is quite boring, where it is right now. But I'm not only here to complain, I have solutions as well. Things that can bring the game to where most people initially thought it was going and make it fun for people again. 1. Make the map Carrington available for everyone, all the time in normal playlists. Sadly, I have to say that this is the best map in the game, and that's, as I said, sad because it's a remake of an old map. It's a remake of a remake. So sure, it's a successful map since before, and we already knew it would be good. But that is the best map in the game is quite sad. But use it in all normal game modes and you immediately have 1 more map to the rotations, without having to put extra work into the game. Simple, right? Solution number 2. Cut the war maps into smaller multiplayer maps. You could easily make an okay multiplayer map if you make a few adjustments to the bridge sequence in Operation Breakout. And the same with most parts of the other war operations. Solution number 3. Make a multiplayer map based on the zombie map. A snowy village in Bavaria at night? That's awesome. And the design of the zombie map is really cool. Sadly, the zombies in this game were also kind of dull. They tried to get too much into it too fast. It was a good try, but it didn't really keep me interested. But use the design of the zombie map to make other multiplayer maps. It could be really cool. So, we're at the 4th and last improvement that I think Sledgehammer could do to the game. Use other parts of the war than the US versus Germany. I know that the campaign is based on that and it's mainly the game's focus. But there is so much more that happened during the Second World War. So much you can use, like Germany versus Russia, Russia versus Finland, and the US versus Japan. There's also things happening in Africa and the Middle East that you can use. Use these things to your advantage and make Stalingrad a map. One of the bloodiest battles in history. That could be a great map, and we already know it because I think there was a map of it in World at War. An island-based map with the US versus Japan, and make a forest map based in the fight between the Russians and Finland. Then it will finally make sense to have guns like the PPSH or Type 100 in the game. And you can even add new guns like the Mosin Nagant or the Arisaka, etc, etc. There are so much more you can use if you just expand on the concept a little bit. I know that this probably won't reach anyone at Sledgehammer or Activision, but if you as a viewer enjoyed this video and agrees with me, give it a like and maybe share it if you think that will increase the chances of getting some change in this game. That actually could be a great game if you ask me. Sledgehammer? This game is boring, but you can save it. I hope you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you are interested in more videos on topics like this one. Have a nice day. Bye.